Hi, Ben.
Hello.
What's up?
Not much. How are you? You good?
I'm great.
Yeah?
I'm great. Can you tell the audience about how Young Storytellers works?
No.
All right, then.
How does Young Storytellers work? Young Storytellers pairs young students, usually sort of elementary, middle school, and high school, particularly elementary school students, with a mentor. And the mentor, over the course of 6 weeks, helps the student develop their own sort of miniature screenplay, like a 3-page kind of little mini screenplay, a little scene, you might say.
Right.
Once the screenplay is completed at the end of the 6-week process, there's an assembly at the school. All of the students come from all of the various classes, and the shorts are performed by actors such as myself, who come in for the glory of performing as a tree or a dinosaur or a detective gummy bear, as we were talking about previously. And it's a sort of a self-esteem building exercise. It's also obviously unleashes some of the creativity of the students, and they specifically try to target students who show promise but are perhaps undermotivated. And what with the cuts to arts education recently, sometimes these schools don't have great access to sort of these kind of creative processes.
Programs,
yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
I've done the big show. I try and catch it like once or twice a year if I can. And auditioning for elementary school students is terrifying sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like kids don't lie.
The most terrifying thing is to have a 10-year-old whispering. They have their little screenplays, and then right before you start, they go through and they cast the things. And so they're basically going with their mentor, someone like ourselves, and literally looking at you and deciding whether you're sort of right to be the princess or the detective gummy bear or whatever. And it's terrifying to watch a 10-year-old kind of like giving you like the
judging, yeah.
And just moving on to the next. And you know, our business is tough enough without this sort of judgment of 10-year-olds to be inflicted upon us. But
little casting directors in the making.
I know. And watching them sort of revel in the pain that they inflict.
They've got the power and they know it.
They do, and they love it.
Now, can you tell people a little bit about what the mentors do?
Sure. I mean, the screenplays are very much the kids' ideas, and you'll see from being, you know, a Detective Gummy Bear story, which is now famous all over the internet. There's Detective Gummy Bears, there's like, what you were telling me the story about.
The egg carton.
The egg carton, as told from the perspective of the egg carton, as the scary human being things would reach in and
magical box.
Yeah, you get to play all kinds of fun parts.
Yeah, I've heard stories from different mentors where they'll be like, hey, little Johnny, maybe you should switch this part, or have you thought about having the character do this? And the kid will be like, no, I don't want him to do that.
Yep.
And you're like, okay.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah,
that's right. It's very nice to get a completely unfiltered and often very strident point of view from a 10-year-old who says, nope, not going to do that.
Now, how did you get involved with Young Storytellers?
My friend Bill Thompson helps, kind of runs the foundation, and I've been involved for about 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah,
that is,
I know.
That's a lot.
Pretty old.
Now, we've talked a little bit about the big show.
Yeah.
But let's go into a little bit more detail.
Well, the big show is just sort of a bigger version of what they do on a local level at each of these schools. So they're sort of picking the most compelling stories, you might say, the most sort of wacky stories. I'm sure the egg story and the gummy bear detective story are probably in that mix. And then they're performed for a much larger group so that they can continue you know, funding all of their work across the city. It's gotten to be a pretty big program where they're working with hundreds of students a year. I think it's up to like 400 students a year, or maybe it's even more than that. And it's all over LA, the greater LA area, and it's not only elementary school where it started, but also middle school and high school, and that obviously takes money. So they're helping to raise money. But it's a really fun environment because it's very, you know, I mean, if you're an actor who needs outward validation from other people who laugh at you when you're playing a tree or a detective gummy bear, not me. I don't need that outward validation. But if someone else did, then it's a fun way of getting it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely didn't get in this business for that.
Not at all.
Nope. Was there any story in particular that kind of touched you?
Often you'll get a story that's about, you know, a kid's trying to connect to their parent or trying to connect to a fellow sibling, trying to fit in at school. I mean, they're very, you know, and then they take wild dimensions and they're about, you know, fantasy, you know, princes and princesses and
right.
castles and gummy bear detectives and things of this nature, but I cannot get off the gummy bear detective thing. Oh my God, I'm gonna.
But it's so profound.
I'm gonna pitch this. This is gonna make $1 million. It's performed in front of all of their peers, their classmates, and also their families. We invite the Young Storytellers Foundation invites their parents and their siblings and stuff. So it's a self-esteem booster in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I've heard stories of kids who, when they started the program, they were just like non-responsive and very introverted, and then by the end they're like taking bows and owning that red carpet that they lay out.
By the end they're like Alfred Hitchcock, and they're just like treating the actors like cattle and
suit coats and everything.
It's brutal, but hey, they have great self-esteem, so what can you do?
So what's next for these kids?
The idea is to take a kid who's at potentially a fragile state in their sort of evolution, who could potentially go one of two ways and could sort of continue to be discouraged and unmotivated in class and end up potentially not even completing, high school.
Right.
And give them a reason to reinvest in their own education, a reason to be inspired, and also a way of building, again, self-esteem. And it's self-esteem with their peers and with their families, because sometimes, the population that we're serving tends to be sort of lower middle class, working class. The parents are really busy. Both parents are working.
Right. There's
multiple children. It's hard sometimes to get that attention that any kid craves, and this is a way of being very clearly rewarded for creativity, which is also unfortunately lacking in our schools. Because of the budgetary problems we have, particularly in California. Arts education is one of the first things to go, and it's a shame, because I think sometimes, kids respond to all kinds of different stimuli depending on who they are as people. And there are some kids who are going to respond great in math and science. I wasn't one of them. I responded well in arts.
Right.
And I think it's really important to try to supplement. I mean, it'd be great if we can continue to invest in arts education on a state and national level, but this is trying to sort of plug that hole and kind of fill that gap and allow these kids to sort of be stimulated in this way.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it serves its purpose, and I think the track record with them is pretty good. The kids always finish their screenplays. They're always, you can see very clearly on the smiles on their faces, and the kind of the relationship they form to a mentor is also a very important aspect of it, because oftentimes they don't have a very, they may be lacking an older figure, kind of buddy figure.
Right, that big brother.
Yeah, big brother, big sister kind of thing.
Sure.
Because often the parents are working and they don't have the time. This allows them to have a good role model to say, stay in school, do your homework. The people they're paired up with are either actors or screenwriters, or they're living in a land that is very foreign to a lot of these kids, even though they grew up and often the kids are only minutes from the studios. They have no concept that this is a possibility of something they can do with their lives.
Sure.
And it's nice to have their world kind of broadened in that way.
Now, of course, we know that these stories really help the kids grow. But do you believe that their stories can help empower other people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, storytelling as a sort of a concept is one of the most powerful shared experiences that we have as human beings. It starts, cave drawings on the walls and, thousands and tens of thousands of years ago. And the way that we communicate with each other and sort of share this shared experience of life and the pain and joy and sorrow and happiness that comes with it is something that's deeply ingrained in our psyches. It's the way that we communicate to each other. So, conveying that to the kids, seeing the power that they themselves possess, even as young children, conveying that they have the power within themselves to communicate not only with other people, but also sort of how they're feeling. I mean, we talked earlier about, a lot of these stories take on they're the outward kind of psychic manifestation of what's going on inwardly with these kids,
sure.
How they relate to their peers, how they relate to their fellow students and their parents. Allowing them to realize that they can do it, that they can express it, that it's appreciated, that it's not something that's verboten, that they can't, it's not allowed, that it's actually encouraged. These are all really positive things for the kids to take away, and then it spreads out to their classmates because the classmates see those stories performed by, you know, really awesome, cool actors who they have no idea who they are. You realize very quickly, like, when you're there that, like, if you were on Nick, like Nick, the Nickelodeon, we used to call it Nickelodeon,
no,
but,
I gotcha.
you know,
yeah.
I guess the kids call it
Nick.
If you're on Nick, you're a huge hit, and if you're like over 20, they don't know.
They don't care.
They don't care. You're old.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Well, do you have any last messages that you would like to tell our audience at home about Young Storytellers?
No, I mean, you can go on the website if you want to donate. I think obviously all donations would be appreciated. It's always a struggle to raise the kind of money that they need to sort of have a staff who can oversee the mentors, who can, you know, make sure that all the shows go well. It's a great organization, and if you're in the LA area and you'd like to mentor or to perform, then please contact them via their website.
It's fun. You'll have a blast.
I can promise you it's a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, Ben, for coming in today, and of course all your help you've done with Young Storytellers.
Thank you.
If you want to help kids harness their creativity with Young Storytellers Foundation, just visit youngstorytellers.com to learn more how you can become a mentor or even perform in your community. If Young Storytellers is not available in your area, perhaps you can mentor a child in your life by helping them tell a story, either via a blog or YouTube, or heck, just tell each other stories. You'll be glad you did. For BFD, I'm Marissa Ray, and we'll see you next time.